In a rehearsal space 3 hours outside Toronto, Jane Johnson sings about her husband, Henry.
Black is the color of my true love's hair.
Gone across the sea to Canada, but never far from her mind.
His lips are like rose so fair. He's got the sweetest face.
The new musical, The Wind Coming Over the Sea, follows the lives of 2 Irish immigrants from the 1840s, brought back to life, all thanks to the real letters.
Dearest Henry, I've been nearly breaking my heart thinking of you alone.
That found their way to the Irish writer who calls Canada home. If the name Emma Donoghue rings a bell, you may know her from Room, her best-selling novel that went on to win the TIFF People's Choice Award and land multiple Oscar nominations. But before all that, she was a young woman in a strange new country.
I had just moved to Canada in 1998 and I wanted to feel I had spiritual forebears, those who'd done it before me and under considerably less cushy circumstances.
In a footnote about the Irish famine, she found a reference to the letters of Henry and Jane Johnson. In the mid-1800s, Henry made the difficult journey to a new country, while Jane and their children waited to rejoin. What made you fall in love with Henry and Jane?
They're remarkable because they're full of little concrete details. Like he says to her in a PS, bring the gun, So specific. But it's also full of emotional eloquence.
Donoghue was so interested in the letters of Henry and Jane, she went all the way to Ireland to look at the originals. But what she found there were only photocopies. Ultimately, it was here at Western universities that she found the actual letters in the same city she settled.
Yeah, so they're in the archives at Western, where my own papers have been since about 2014. So, my papers and the Johnsons' papers are side by side, well, not side by side, they're preserved together in this wonderful climate-controlled ark that they have at Western.
But Emma, it's so interesting in that you kind of grasped onto these letters when you came to Canada, and then you went back to Ireland to look for them. And is it Providence? It seems appropriate that they were actually waiting for you where you ultimately settled.
I found it a huge comfort, actually, yes. That, that I'm in the right place and that, like Jane and Henry's descendants, yes, I have rooted myself in this country.
And now Jane and Henry have jumped from the written word to the stage.
Oh, you both scams.
After living through those letters for so many years, you see them on stage. What is it like to see Henry and Jane trotting the boards in front of you?
It's just thrilling to me because they're very real characters to me. When Jane says, "May God bless you, my dearest Henry," but to actually see them come back to life physically, that's a real moment of seeing the dead walk again,
But Donoghue had her own physical connection with the Johnsons thanks to another artifact, a blanket found preserved in a museum in nearby Strathroy.
And when I got to, hold it myself and stretch it out and feel I was touching what her hands had touched, When you've been working on somebody for ages, you'd never expect to be able to have a physical connection to them in this way. And I was just so grateful,
When Donoghue first wrote about the Johnsons in a short story, she was interested in history. But she says this play speaks to the present.
It's political to say that immigrants are vulnerable, immigrants are leaving a lot behind as well as coming to a new place, that they are just like us. They're giving up a lot to leave, and they wouldn't do it if they weren't desperate.
She says Canada needs to define itself against the anti-immigrant rhetoric in the United States.
And more I feel it's really important for Canada to emphasize its own multiculturalism and to say we are a rich country in every way because of the layers of immigrants that we have accepted in.
And so her play shines a spotlight on the hardships and heartache, an immigrant story inspired by the letters that helped anchor Donoghue in her new home.